Full patch notes just dropped. I don't know if this was like a shadow patch. I heard that they were going to patch something, but I think that they just announced this like a day ago, basically. So as of right now, I can't even get into the game. The game will be going live in an hour, so I figured I would record a video. Let's take a look at what they're actually changing. So really quick, the feedback has been basically that Galactic Disaster, I mean, I found it really fun, but I believe the feedback has been because the Zero System upgrades aren't in it, it feels like you should be running Zero System instead of the event because they're like disconnected and you kind of want to progress both. And it just, I don't know, apparently it seemed disjointed. Also, a lot of the unique stuff they added for the seasonal stuff was kind of weak. And I think they're just kind of adjusting that. So let's go through that. So first one, the Zero System upgrade effects now apply to all chaos, meaning not only does it apply to Zero System, it always has, and it applies to the Galactic Disaster. So the new event that just came out, you're going to get all your Zero System upgrades, right? So you're going to get an extra, whatever it is, 20, 30, 40 attack, a bunch of HP, and you're going to get the re-rolling shops. You're going to get the God thing at the beginning. So overall, this is a big buff and power level to basically your run. So if you were struggling on difficulty 8 before, you should be able to clear difficulty 8 much easier. Just in general, this is a lot of actual power, and I haven't even finished it, but it's also adding it to the normal chaos, which I think is a little interesting, but I actually kind of wish they would have done this sooner because I had to go through and do all the chaoses after I unlocked Zero System at difficulty 6 to get the first time clear rewards, but it wasn't really difficult, but I would have liked the Zero System upgrades to just make it faster, I guess. They are also adding difficulty levels 9, 10, and 11. The Chaos Interior boss for difficulty 9, 10, 11 will appear as a rare species. Rare species basically means it has one of those really annoying effects, like maybe every time you attack it, it eats a card, or I think that's gluttony, or it's like it makes 2 of your cards more expensive, which is heavy, and it's these like enchantments, right? He's going to have a glow upon him, and that honestly is very difficult. You do not want that, so this is going to be a pretty big step up in difficulty for the final boss. However, the final boss is usually the easiest part of the runs in general, if maybe not literally the easiest, one of the easiest. Like the first couple fights, and then the first boss and second boss are usually the easiest parts. It's the few fights directly before the boss that are brutal. Like the normal encounters are way, way harder than the elites, all right? I hope they haven't really adjusted that here, but I honestly think the normal non-elite encounters are just way too hard, like in the 3 or 4 basically segments leading up to the final boss, and the elites are like jokes basically, right? So they can either make the elites harder, I don't know how they want to balance it, but it feels off right now. But let's take a look here. These are just first clear rewards. We're not going to give us like, how are the stats scale? I don't know, but you're going to want to clear all of them if you can at least once to get these are the first clear rewards to get the normal stuff. But what's important here is that if you're looking at like the actual meta progression, like, yeah, this is for the shop. Yeah, you're going to get a little bit of like some cool nifty stuff here. I don't even remember what all these names are, but really the important things like the shop, the consistent shop stuff, and the Zero System upgrade materials, you're going to get at the same level at all these. And I bet it's actually, it might be the same as level 8, but you don't need to push to 11. All you're doing at pushing at 11 is getting these little, the first clear rewards, which is like nice. I love that it's incentivized, but it's really, really not going to make or break the whole event for you if you don't reach that far. Also, can I just say, maybe it's a translation thing. A lot of games do this. I hate the recommended level terminology. I don't like recommending a level that is not achievable. How can you recommend an impossible thing? If it is at like difficulty level 95 or whatever, like it'd be like an arbitrary number, but it's like I can't get my characters to level 130. Do you mean you want each character like to add up the level 130? I don't think so. You don't want me to bring a bunch of like, a 40, 40 and a 60, or a 30, 60 and a 60 probably. I don't know. I don't like the terminology there. Now, starting from difficulty 2, Chaos Orbs are going to be dropping. So this is what's really, really good about this. Okay, it looks like actually are going upon defeating. Okay, so upon boss defeat, you're going to get 34. So that's why these are 68, right? So yeah, level difficulty 8 and higher are all 34 for each boss that you clear. So you actually don't even need to push to difficulty 9, right? You're getting what it seems like all the rewards at difficulty 8. Difficulty 8 was already not that hard, and we're getting a huge buff because of the Zero System. But that means this is now going to be the most efficient way to grind your zero system passive tree up to the max. Because if you're allowed to just get to the first boss and then lose and then do another run, because the event doesn't require you to use units. Like if you lose in the zero system, you have to buy a new map essentially, right? Or you have to use some chaos orbs or something. There's a currency tied to getting new maps if you don't clear it, but there's no currency tied from what I've seen to losing a laboratory zero run. So this is likely, if you're going to want to level up your zero system, farming these seems like it's going to be just the best one, because they're not super, super hard. The fights are pretty consistent. And again, if you do lose, it's not really anything other than you lose some time, which is fine because you're still having fun playing a game ideally. They are adding normal rare species in the laboratory zero chaos. This is a little scary because again, it's if you get to the last few fights, those fights are already way harder than everything else. And if they get like, if you end up going up against like 3 enemies and they all have like heavy or something, which I've had happen before, and they're adding like literally 6 costs to your hand, you could just get locked out of like even playing it. Like there is bad rolls that just like are run endingly powerful. So hopefully there's a little bit of balance here, and hopefully it does, you know, maybe you'll just get bad luck, but maybe it won't really affect you that much, and maybe the rewards are worth it. Penalty rules in Laboratory Zero Chaos will be updated. Starting from difficulty 5, 1 to 3 penalties will be applied at random. If you're doing difficulty 8, like I am, 8, 9, 10, 11, is it 8? Yeah, 9, 10, 11, then it already has 3, so we don't really worry about it. The penalty list will match the list used in Zero System Codex. I believe it already is. You should be able to get 3 without too much, right? Usually you're going to take like HP down, less money, and more elites. That you probably don't want to, trust me, you don't want to add 40% more enemy HP and attack. They will just one-shot you. So that one's probably not one you want to take. But overall, yeah, seems totally fine. I don't want to go through all these specifically because I don't remember each event, but basically they're taking multiple events that you could run into, and they're improving the rewards, right? Like here's an example. Instead of decreasing stress, you're now going to be able to get a combatant's going to get an epiphany. You know, I actually think increasing max health 20% is huge, but whatever, you know, you get a better epiphany, you get, you know, an epiphany. So they're adding more epiphanies. And oh, look, select and duplicate 1 card from 3 random rare or higher cards, or decrease stress by 9. So I said I was going to go over them, and I did. This is 3 different events all getting improved. Also, I believe it's the unique area where you go into the dimensional tunnel. I assume that's the one where you find like the kid it always shows up on the map somewhere. You just have to find it. It sounds like they're giving better rewards on that as well. So overall buffs, like making things stronger. Maybe you're going to have a little bit more stress problems. Maybe if you add up like these weird, like little ones, probably not really though. It's probably more going to be like, you're just going to get less stress because you're going to have more epiphanies in general, which is kind of super big. They're also buffing multiple pieces of the new equipment. Totally cool. The equipment seems reasonably powerful, but there were ones like this, right? If you have 5 cards in your hand at the end of the turn, 140% fixed shield, like what the fuck? Like 5 cards? 5. The only time that happens is if I have like 5 shocks in my hand. You know, it's like I need to have a ton of shocks for this to matter. So making that 3 is way more reasonable, and even then, I still think that's kind of high and not a, you know, a free win for getting that shield, but it's like more in line, right? So there's going to be things like that. Adjusting cards, Forbidden Algorithm, this one is atrocious. Before it exhausted to create a random forbidden card. Now it creates a random forbidden card as well, but it has lead on it. So the thing is, this card exhausts, and it costs 3. It costs your whole turn to get you a card that may not even be useful for your deck at all. You may not even be able to use it, really. It might be literally a subpar card. So Forbidden Algorithm is dog water. Maybe with lead, if they decrease the cost to 2, which they didn't say, but maybe if they decrease the cost to 2 and it has lead, it could be good. I got an upgrade on it that gave it 2 permanent morale when you did use it, and that made the card worth it, just getting 2 permanent morale. And I did get a card like 1 out of the 3 times I used it that was relevant. But just don't overlook the cards, reread them, because it sounds like they're getting upgrades here. Also, this is not related to the event, but they're just upgrading the sets, because everyone's talked about how the sets are a bit weak. So I still don't know if I want them. It's probably getting closer now. Probably ones that I will probably just I'll just build them, honestly. Instead of trying to get 3 2 sets, I'll probably do a 4 set and a 2 set now. But when upgrade cards are used, increase damage of the next 5 passion cards used by 20% instead of 15%. So a nice little boost there. Nothing crazy, but it's probably going to be pretty good on Mei Lin, right? Because her passion cards can hit multiple times, things like that. Another 5% buff to void cards. Increasing, if you have 4 more cards in hand, you get a little bit more instinct damage. This is the one that I think is actually going to be pretty good, is the order one. Is you used to have to use 3 cards to get 15% more damage. Now you get 10% per card, and you only have to use it 2 times. So it goes 10%, 20%. So it's twice as good after the first card, and it's not, you know, and it's actually, you know, it's twice as good after 2 cards as well, but you don't get that third activation. So it's still an overall 5% boost, but it's also easier to activate. So you're actually going to get more than that because it'll work on your third card. You'll have the full effect already, right? So overall, this one I think is probably the best. This should help Yuki out at least a little bit in her damage, because I've already using the order set, and that's kind of what she likes. So I'm hoping that'll be good. An event in the dimensional tunnel of Laboratory Zero Chaos that offered lower rewards than other areas at its difficulty has been removed. This sounds good. I mean, it sounds like they removed the event instead of buffing the rewards. Kind of weird, but if I remember the dimensional tunnels where you like find the kid and you get forced into like 2 fights or whatever, maybe they're rolled, but like it's always been just like fight an elite, and they could be pretty brutal. And then I was like, oh, this wasn't like worth it at all. Like this just kind of was a run ender. So maybe this is like good, that you don't accidentally get that. The acquisition probability of forbidden cards in Dimensional Tunnel Chaos has been increased. So now when we actually get into the Dimensional Tunnel, we should be able to get some forbidden cards, because I don't think I've gotten almost any forbidden cards outside of getting the one bad card, the forbidden algorithm, right? And the forbidden cards are usually pretty darn good. Like they're better than normal cards in most situations. And then finally, we just have some bug fixes. These are things that I've not come across myself, but hopefully there's something in here that would be, if it was affected you negatively, it's in here. So the big kind of elephant in the room here is that they're not touching Yuki, at least yet. I've said it already. I don't think they need to buff Yuki at all. I think Yuki is balanced and she's fine. I do think the community is like, oh, she's dog shit. Like, I think the community doesn't like her, so I think they might buff her because of how the community feels, even though I don't think she needs to. Like, 2 things could be true. I don't think she needs a buff. I think she might actually get a buff, though. So the fact they didn't touch it here makes me think maybe they won't, or maybe it'll be a totally different patch. Maybe they'll just maybe going forward they'll make the future characters a little bit stronger, which I think is not necessarily a good thing. But overall, this is still a buff to every player. Being able to use Zero System in the new event is going to make it more fun. You're going to be more powerful. You're going to be able to make better decks in general because you're going to be more powerful. So you're going to have to make less defensive choices, more aggressive choices. Where it's like, okay, I really want to copy a card, but my stress is about to go crazy, so I need to choose to take an option that doesn't stress me out or doesn't add a card. If you're in a stronger spot, you'll just be able to do those riskier things more consistently. So overall, this is a big W for the event. It feels like a nudge in some ways, but honestly, the Zero System buffs are no joke, and I'm very excited to do that. Anyway, guys, that's all for today. Much love. Per platypus is per platypus. I will see you on the flip-flops. Bye!